What are we to make of these continued concerns about demand, whether it's the influential analyst over in China last week who talks about shipments being down? I have another report today. iPhone sales dropped 5% in the holiday quarter on AI disappointment. You're the guy on this story. What do you make of it?
Sure. I frankly think both of those reports are directionally accurate in that we have iPhone units down year over year, roughly 76 million iPhone units in the December quarter as well. And something that I keep going back to is that right now the iPhone 16 is still largely only available in English-speaking countries, which means the majority of Apple's customers do not necessarily have access to what would be viewed as this key upgrade factor in their native language. Why would you upgrade to an iPhone if you don't actually have those capabilities? One reason would be to future-proof your iPhone, but what we're increasingly seeing is that is not necessarily taking place in international markets primarily, especially in China, where there is a lot of competition. So I directionally agree with a lot of the comments that are being made about the December quarter, and you know what it's incumbent upon Apple to do, therefore, is make sure you're getting these features out. Not necessarily quicker, although that would be ideal, but make sure that they're complete, make sure that they're enticing to the consumer, make sure the consumer understands what they're buying and how to buy it. That's a bit of a tougher sale, right, than selling a device where there's a tangible hardware upgrade that you can look, see, and feel differently in stores. So it is still a tough smartphone market. Competition is still intense. But really, to me, this is all about Apple Intelligence still being kind of layered into the installed base, with really most of that layering in to come into the future.
But this is a good part of why you remain bullish on the stock, why you have it as your top pick, why it remains overweight, why you have 273 on it, is because you're bullish on the eventual upgrade cycle. I mean, at what point, Eric, do you sit back and say, you know what, I've seen enough? It's like election night, right? You see the data come in, you're like, well, I thought it was going to happen. Now you see the exit polling, and you're like, you know what, I've seen enough. Like, this is not going to be what I once thought it was going to be.
Correct. So there's two factors here. One is, you know, the iPhone cycle that we've pointed to, we think is predominantly starting with the iPhone 17. Again, that launches September of 2025. That is when we believe the majority of Apple's users will both have exposure to Apple Intelligence and have exposure to key features, right? We've done survey work that would show Apple users want ChatGPT integration and an upgraded Siri. You have ChatGPT integration here in the U.S. It works quite well, but you don't have the upgraded Siri that comes in April. And so on a very short-term basis, you know, I think what we're seeing is a bit of fundamentals mattering, right? At the end of last year, Apple was up 2% for 6 consecutive weeks, as even we were cutting our iPhone numbers in early December. Now the market is paying more attention to fundamentals, frankly, rightfully so. So I think this is a bit of a healthy correction. You're also obviously seeing the 10-year having an impact, I think, on these growth multiples. So the iPhone 17 is still, to us, the cycle where Apple Intelligence really starts to shine through. The iPhone 16 just doesn't have enough exposure yet to Apple Intelligence as a key upgrade device. The other aspect here are the non-iPhone related parts of the Apple story. Gross margins are extremely strong. We actually think in some cases product gross margins could be underappreciated as we go into a commodities down cycle. And then the services business, right? We wrote in the middle of December about services outperforming in the December quarter. App Store remains strong. Digital advertising remains strong. So there are factors within the Apple story that we believe remain very attractive. But to be fair, to get to that $273 price target that you alluded to that we have right now, which is based on our fiscal 26 estimates, you need the iPhone, and really it becomes iPhone 17. So what we're watching for in the coming months, one will be, is there any inflection in markets where Apple Intelligence is increasingly available, meaning the features are being built out or becoming newly available? And then the other part of what we're looking for is really, as we look into the future, markets like China, is there clear visibility into Apple Intelligence being available before the iPhone 17 launches? I think it's going to be tough frankly, to get to my forecast in fiscal year 26 if Apple Intelligence is not available in China. So I am harping a bit on China here. Obviously, it's the second largest market that Apple has. It's critical.
Sure.